Hello there, my name is Gabriel Khan. I'm a new master's student at the University of the Free State. Myself and a friend of mine, Spencer, who we'll meet later on in the video, decided to do a couple of interviews on campus about race and racism. Even though it is 20 years after our first democratic elections, South Africa is still a country divided by things like race and class and gender and sexual orientation, amongst other factors of inequality. At the University of the Free State, there have been two big racist incidents in the last couple of years. The first was in 2008, where 4 white male students humiliated black workers at the university and video recorded these. And the second happened last year, where 2 white male students attempted to drive over a black student and also then beat him up later on. And we feel like these aren't isolated incidences, and so we decided to meet with a couple of students on campus, record the ideas about race and racism, and see where these discussions can take us. So here goes. How do you think we could deal with race, though? What would you advise?
I think it's very broad. I'm not sure. What do you mean? In what context do we deal with it? So
At the university, how can we undo inequality at the university?
I think the big thing is relationships. It's a bit of a lack of social cohesion, I think, at this moment. But that comes from different people's backgrounds. People come here from university where they come from their farms, where only white people, especially, where the only black people they're seen are their farm workers. And then they tend all black people is going to be the same. And on the other side, you get black people coming from townships who've never had interaction with white people before. And this is the only exposure they get to each other. And often this exposure is very superficial. So I think we need more programs to create proper relationships, be it in residences where you have to force people to integrate in rooms. I'm not sure how you're going to do that, but I think the question is relationships. We need to build proper relationship, not just superficial.
I still believe or feel like as if they still have that mentality of the past, where they feel, for instance, if you're black, you're not good enough, and I think that still exists in this campus.
Okay.
And like as I said initially, that we really need to work hard in ensuring that we educate those who still have that mentality.
Campus.
Definitely.
Yes.
Definitely. Quite a number of times. And, I'm not one to react to that. I'm just rather ignore it and be a better person. So I think it's so sad because it's almost like normal to experience it.
Okay.
So it's gotten to that point and it's very, very tragic.
Yeah, and like, especially from where I come from, there's like 0 to none. I mean, close to none. Racism, like there is no racism where I come from. And so when I got here, I'm like, what is happening? You know, and then people are racist towards me. I'm like, well, how am I supposed to react to this? Because I'm not used to it.
Yeah.
You know, so it's for me it was very difficult, to be honest. But then, like you said, it just becomes normal. And to be honest, everybody just chooses to either ignore it or to accept it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you saying that racism becomes normal?
Yeah,
And
it
this
becomes
campus,
normal.
yes.
We've gotten to
Okay.
a point
And
where,
like, it's just racist.
yeah, people are like that and we see it as normal behavior.
Okay.
Because it has happened
Okay.
to us that many times that
Yeah.
Yeah.
it is like second
Yeah.
nature almost.
So, do you want to tell me how racism looks on campus? What do people do, or what do people say?
You know, there's certain comments, I don't really want to.
Okay. Yeah, you don't have to if you don't want
Yeah.
to. It's fine.
There's certain comments that are made, for instances, like, I know in the morning sometimes people get frustrated and you find yourself in a queue somewhere and, you know, someone comes and they push you, you can hear people talking about you, you know, it's just, there are certain comments, let me just say that I've experienced comments and people who don't behave in a civilized manner towards you.
And just the way how a certain race would react to another. You know, for example, if per se we were having an argument and she was white and I was black, like the way that she would react to a white person is not the way that she would react to me. I'm just saying that does happen. Or the way that as a black person I'd be like, what do white people know anyway? You know, something like that. Just the way you react to another person is also like showing that racist. Although you might not come out and admit that, no, I don't like black people or I don't like white people. The truth is,
actually.
You are actually racist.
Have you ever experienced racism on campus?
I avoid it. I have never known. But if I should walk to a group of white girls, definitely, I will feel like I'm black. I wouldn't feel like, okay, no, I'm just gonna see my friend Katrina. No, it's gonna be, I'm gonna see my Afrikaans friend Katrina. You understand? So yes, I avoid it. I've never experienced it personally.
Have either of you ever experienced racism on campus?
Nah, not. I haven't experienced it personally, but most of the time you don't actually experience it. You hear about it or you know someone that experienced it. But it's most of the time it's not confrontational. It's not like one-on-one racism.
You might experience passive racism that somebody doesn't want to walk, doesn't want to.
It doesn't want to
shake your hand, or sit where you sat. But otherwise, no one's ever come out and say, no, we don't like black people. Called us names. So yeah, all in all,
it's livable.
Yeah, you can live.
Do you want to tell me a little bit more about the passive racism though? Like what examples can you think of?
It's like simple things like junior registration. I noticed this. I don't know if anyone noticed it, but I noticed it. Like junior registration, in a line there'll be like mixed race of students like to register, and then a black person will sit. Yeah, a black person will sit. Then when the white person's supposed to sit in that seat, he doesn't sit. It's minor things like that. Although you might not show that you're unhappy with that, but it's just one of those things that happens in the day.
Also in classes, you'll see that the classes are very blacks will be at the back, whites will be on the sides. Like it's very compartmentalized. If I can use that word.
I think we just need to move on, man.
Yeah,
It's time to like become one united nation. Like as much as people say that, okay, it's not apartheid anymore, it's a democracy, we still have those divisions, and I feel like that needs to change. We need to be one society, one nation, man. Yeah.
One nation. It's probably
How-
gonna take a long time.
Yeah, how do you think we could make that happen on campus though? Like,
Social integration.
Yeah, we should start with the races. Yeah.
okay.
The residents. There should really be integration there. Like, it's not even funny anymore. It's like, okay, if you take Acacia for instance, like Acacia, right? There's only colored girls there, like mostly.
Yeah. And Bandar Merva, it's like white dominated. Like they mustn't pick people according to their race.
Yeah.
Just take people in jail.
Randomly.
Randomly.
selection.
Don't look at the surname and be like, oh, this person is black. Why must they be in this race? It doesn't make sense. You're still a person, human. All right.
I also think that people shouldn't like see blacks and whites or different races being together as wrong. That was the whole thing Mandela always used to say, where we should be one rainbow nation and stuff. If they go against that, what role did he play in our lives? So yeah, I feel that people must be more involved with each other. It doesn't depend on their races and stuff. Yeah.
And especially this UFS subject, that they keep on going back to racism and racism. Leave it. Forget the racism. It's over. It's not part of our society anymore. So they must just forget about it.
I was thinking back to the two people we met earlier, the colored guy and the black guy outside the race. What was it called? Fizz race, and that's the sports race on campus.
Yeah, it's more sports.
And just to contextualize, those two weren't willing to speak on camera, but they had really interesting things to say. So what do you remember about our conversation with them?
What I remember about the conversation is that they claim that they've been here for 4 years and everything's just been pushed under the rug. And they're almost tired of talking because that's all they've been doing. And one interesting thing they raised was that their leadership at the residents, whenever they're chilling out in a social space and they're clustered into race, whenever some official has to pass by, the guys quickly get to rearrange the setting so it comes across as integrated and socially integrated. I thought that was very interesting. And the fact that they didn't want to say, though they've been here for quite a number of years, also shocked me. I mean, whenever there are critical conversations, people get to claim about how race is important. Like it's an issue, an immediate issue we have to deal with. But whenever people are interviewed, it's almost like, oh, let's get on board. Yeah. Not even anonymously. So that really shocked me.
Why do you think they refused to talk?
I think they thought it was in connection with the incident that took place years ago. Maybe that's why they didn't want to come on record, because they think it's because of what happened. People are still cagey about what happened.
My feeling as well is that I felt that they were scared to talk, firstly.
Firstly, they were.
And I also felt like they might experience discrimination if it went online. If we put it up and people in the race saw it.
I think that might be an issue because, I mean, Fairfax is predominantly white.
The thing that also struck me about our conversation with them was that even the people of color would be part of the trying to show that they're integrated. They bought into that.
They did.
And that made me a bit sad though, because they weren't protesting against the problem
think
there.
Everyone is complacent. Everyone isn't really... Okay, I think everyone is aware, but then... I mean, a whole lot of white people, they were like, can we just forget about it? They didn't want to acknowledge, like, okay, this is the system that we have, and we are privileged in this way. We acknowledge that, but then we are going to be critical about it and start having conversations about it. And they say, like, okay, let's just forget about it. Mandela said this, it happened this many years ago. And then the same thing with a few black people, they're like, okay, I'm not from here, and where I'm from, there's no racism. And I didn't buy that. Because how we've been socialized, we all grew up in spaces where it's usually people of your own. And then views that you have are not really from first-hand experience, they're from second-hand experiences. So we come into one space, you get to act out what you were told or what you grew up hearing about. So saying where I'm from there's no racism, there might be, but I don't think that was true.
Cool. Any other things that come to mind?
Any other things that come to mind about race on campus? I wish people talked more about the management and the personnel, how integrated and how not integrated it is, because I don't think management is actually doing what they want students to do. They want us to be 50-50 at residences, but then heads of departments are not racially integrated. I know from my Center for Financial Planning Law, there are only white lecturers, only white female lecturers. Even the director is a white lady. There are no other races that do lecture there. And then I really thought it would have been interesting if people brought that up. How is the personnel? Is it integrated? Are they acting out what they say we should act out?